Most billionaires buy yachts. This one decided he wanted to die on Mars. But not on impact. He is a man who builds rockets, electric cars, and brain chips. Today, Elon Musk is the richest man on Earth, but his path was brutal. He faced broken rockets, hostile takeovers, and moments just hours away from total bankruptcy. This is the story of how a bullied kid from Pretoria changed human history forever. Born in South Africa, young Elon was a quiet kid who devoured books. He read the entire encyclopedia, then moved on to Isaac Asimov and comic books. School was a nightmare. He was severely bullied, once beaten until he lost consciousness. He found refuge in a Commodore VIC-20 computer, teaching himself how to code. At 12, he sold his first video game, Blastar, for $500. To avoid mandatory military service in South Africa, he bought a one-way ticket to Canada. He shoveled dirt in a boiler room, surviving on hot dogs and cheap oranges. Eventually, he transferred to the University of Pennsylvania, studying physics and economics. Next stop, Stanford. A PhD in energy physics awaited him in sunny California. But the year was 1995. The internet was exploding, and Elon couldn't look away. He dropped out of Stanford after just 2 days. It was time to build. He and his brother Kimball founded Zip2, a digital city guide for physical newspapers. They couldn't afford an apartment. Elon slept on a futon right under his desk. He showered at the local YMCA and coded the website 7 days a week. The relentless grind paid off. Compaq bought Zip2 for over $300 million. Elon walked away with $22 million. He immediately bought a $1 million McLaren sports car. And then he famously crashed it without insurance. But he didn't care. He rolled all his money into a new, crazy idea, an online bank called X.com. It merged with a rival company to become a little service known as PayPal. The company grew violently fast, but boardroom politics were sharpening their knives behind his back. While Elon was flying on a plane for his honeymoon, he was fired as CEO. Most people would have sued. Elon stayed calm, kept his shares, and waited it out. When eBay bought PayPal for $1.5 billion, Elon became extraordinarily rich. He walked away with $165 million cash in his pocket. At 31, he could have retired to a private island for the rest of his life. Instead, he looked at NASA's website and noticed they had no plans to visit Mars. He wanted to buy a cheap Russian rocket to send a greenhouse to the Martian surface. He flew to Moscow, but the Russian engineers literally spat on his shoes and mocked him. On the flight home, Elon opened a spreadsheet. He decided to build the rockets himself. In 2002, SpaceX was born. The aerospace industry laughed at the internet software millionaire. Building rockets is insanely expensive. It's an industry dominated by massive nations, not private startups. 2 years later, he poured his remaining fortune into a struggling electric car startup. Tesla Motors wanted to prove that electric cars didn't have to be slow and ugly golf carts. But the painful truth was, both companies were burning cash at an astonishing rate. SpaceX launched its first rocket, the Falcon 1. It caught fire and fell into the ocean. They tried a second time. Another catastrophic failure. The money was quickly running out. Tesla wasn't doing any better. The Roadster was delayed, and manufacturing costs were spiraling out of control. Then came launch number 3. The rocket cleared the pad, but the stages collided midair. 3 strikes. SpaceX was practically dead. The year was 2008. The global economy crashed. Nobody was investing in electric cars or private spaceflight. Elon had to borrow money just to pay rent. He was emotionally and financially drained. He scraped together enough spare parts for one final rocket launch, Flight 4. If this failed, SpaceX would shut its doors forever. Everything was on the line. September 28, 2008, the Falcon 1 roared into the sky. It reached orbit, the first privately funded, liquid-fueled rocket in history to do so. NASA called with a $1.6 billion contract. SpaceX was saved. Days later, on Christmas Eve, Tesla secured a last-minute investment. Elon had survived. With new life, Tesla unveiled the Model S. It broke every expectation in the auto industry. It was fast, safe, and beautiful. Motor Trend named it Car of the Year. But Wall Street hated him. Short sellers bet billions of dollars that Tesla would go bankrupt. Elon pushed back, launching the Model 3 to finally bring electric cars to the masses. It triggered production hell. Elon slept on the factory floor to fix the assembly line. They built a makeshift tent in the parking lot just to meet their massive production numbers. He beat the short sellers. Tesla became the most valuable automaker on the entire planet. Meanwhile, SpaceX was doing the impossible. They decided to stop throwing away multi-million-dollar rockets. For decades, rockets crashed into the ocean after one use. Elon called it completely insane. He engineered rockets that could fly to space, turn around, and land perfectly on a drone ship. The world watched in awe as what used to be science fiction became undeniable reality. Soon, SpaceX was ferrying American astronauts to the International Space Station. But Mars was still the ultimate goal. The massive Starship program was officially born. Yet his brain never stopped finding new problems to solve. Traffic, for instance, drove him crazy. He dug tunnels under Las Vegas, launching the Boring Company to try and cure gridlock. Worried about artificial intelligence, he co-founded OpenAI and then created Neuralink. Neuralink aims to merge the human brain with computers, hoping to help paralyzed people walk again. And when he felt free speech was threatened, he bought Twitter for $44 billion. He rebranded it to X, enduring massive controversy and intense backlash from every direction. Critics call him reckless. Fans call him a genius, but nobody can afford to ignore him. He risks his entire fortune over and over, refusing to accept the limits of humanity. Because Elon Musk doesn't just predict the future, he violently forces it into existence.